What's up, everybody? Green Line Breakdown, episode 17, special episode, Return of the King. Our favorite player is back. My favorite player is back. Vibes are good. That is all I can say. I think after watching Tatum's return last night, vibes are up. This team is confident. This team is really at the pedestal of another great playoff run. I'm not shaken. I think the rest of the league took a look last night and figured they've got some worries going against us in the playoffs, which is great to see. I'm wearing my best wears today. I got the satin old warm up, got the nice clover on the side there, yellow and green. Favorite hat. It is good today. The world is good today. Celtics basketball is great today. Going to get right into it. Going to have a special guest on to talk a little bit about the Charlotte Hornets. We had a tough game against them this week, and it really dawned on me that I don't know if I've been giving Charlotte enough credit this year. I don't think anybody has, and I needed an expert to really come in because I couldn't tell you really a lick about them. All I know is they've got a Celtics coach, one of Mazzulla's disciples down there now, first-year head coach. That could be something to do with it. They've also got really a on-fire rookie, and I need someone to split in and talk about that with me. So he will be on soon. I'm going to give you a rundown of the games right now. We are going to get right into it. So let's take a look. Started off with a Sunday night basketball game against the Sixers. Sixers always play us well. They always play us tight. That is a rivalry. I know they haven't really beaten us a lot in the last few years, but Philadelphia is a rivalry with the Boston Celtics. Embiid was out. Embiid missed this game. He really is not the cornerstone of the franchise anymore. I would point that to Tyrese Maxey. They got a good rookie in VJ Edgecombe who really carries a lot of load. You got two great guards. And they've got some good pieces in the back, the front court. So what kind of a play-in was this with us, huh? We really took care of business the entire time, but we were down in the first quarter. So got a rough start, but finally turned it around going into the second quarter. Got a lot of good minutes from a lot of good players, especially Teoh. And I'll be talking about him a lot later on because we got some bad news in the Tatum game last night with Vooch now breaking his finger and probably going to be out for a month right before playoffs start, which is disappointing. We have about 20 games left, so yeah, about a month and a half before playoffs. So Teoh, who has been anchoring the starting center role for the entirety of the season, really has started off doing a good job, but I think has now ascended as being a really good, strong center. He's an ethical center. I think he plays much like, and this is not to overstate what kind of impact he's having, but he plays a lot like Ben Wallace of the Pistons back in the 2000s. He's not a guy you really looked at when he first came on the scene, but he's starting to really carve out a role for himself. Very dominant inside the paint, very good shot blocker. I think he might have learned some things from Porzingis last year on where he should position himself. His footwork is getting a lot better. And I think the biggest thing, especially last year, that isn't really as much of a problem is his cardio. He got tired real early last year, and that just seems like it's not a problem anymore. He takes a big chunk of minutes every game, and he does well until the final shot clock, really want to point out a dominant performance from Teoh. I mean, 27 points, 27 points, 7 of 10 free throws, 17 rebounds, and 2 assists, and a steal. I mean, that's a guy who nobody's looking to have a huge chunk of points. Rebounding is really my priority for him, and for him to cover with 17 is just fantastic. But I mean, the 27 points is just a whole icing on the cake, really, for me. It's cool to see him average over 10. I think he's at 10 right now for the season of points per game. But for him to have a huge game against the Sixers like that is good for him, good for morale, really solidifies him as the starting center. I was having this conversation with my friends last night where he is very much paint-driven center. Where Vooch, I like that he has that three-point shot. I mean, he's going to be gone for the next month, but it really makes more sense for when you have a starting lineup of guys who are very dominant at the three line. You got Bryan, you got Pritchard, you got Hauser, who's starting now. You have Derek White, all guys who are dominant from the three. It's okay to have one guy who isn't. And then when the bench players come in, you don't have as many guys. So it's good for that guy playing center to pick up some of the load because Mazzulla loves to have 4 or 5 guys shooting threes at all times. So I think They are what I don't believe Kata and Vooch are very far from each other. I think Kata right now is obviously the primary, but they do good things for the lineups they're playing with, right? It's really the inverse of each other. So I think the way Mazzulla has constructed this team and how they're playing, even though he's going to be gone for the month, I know what he's going to be looking for come playoffs. So that's good. That's good to see. And again, just hats off to him for a great game against the Sixers. Tyrese Maxey had 30 points. He always has 30 points against us. It's like he walks onto the court. He gets 30 points on us. Edgecombe played all 40 minutes, 23 points. Drummond showing up. How is he still in the league? I'm not going to say he's a bum, but I'm just shocked. Like he's had such a weird career. Still a great center. Well, the great might be too much, but he's still getting, 10 points, 12 rebounds. He's still doing what he needs to do for that team. And really not much from the other supporting cast. Kelly Oubre, who I was like pretty boy of the NBA, prettiest NBA player, only had 4 points. And the rest of the team is nothing to chuckle at with 14, but really those three main guys of Maxey, Edgecombe, and Drummond. So obviously looking at the Celtics though, Derek White, 21 points, good to see. Shireman even with 12 points, with 11 at the time. He was having a great game. He was 3 for 6 from 3, so he's taking those shots. He's making 50% of them. That's really where I like to see, especially, again, with the cast of characters he has around him on any given lineup, is he's kind of carrying some of that load. Jaylen Brown, obviously. Jaylen doing what he's been doing all year, 27 points. 7 of 7 from the free throw line. Good job, Jaylen. That's huge. That's big for 100% for Jaylen Brown. I'm surprised that's not 4 for 7. Something more likely. And the rest of the team, showed up with Hauser at 8, Sharman 12 mentioned, and you got a couple points from Walsh and Gonzalez there with minor minutes. So, and then Walsh comes out of this day to day with an illness. Good matchup. After the second quarter, I don't think it was really ever close. Sixers tried clawing back, but really they were the controlling force the entire game. So good game against the Sixers, an important game because they are kind of right behind you in the standings. Not super close, but they're 7 games behind you. And this might be a team you play in the first round of the playoffs. So it's something to watch out for and get these wins now. Understand what works against them. Understand how you want to play them come playoff times, because this is a very likely first round matchup. It could possibly happen. And then you have a back-to-back, right? You got Monday against the Bucks. Bucks are kind of in disarray. I don't think about them too much, even though Giannis, first game with Giannis back, and we had really no major star playing against him. It kind of goes to show you the supporting cast Giannis has around him. Nobody is really worried. Kind of sucks to see where Milwaukee is, because like 3 years ago, they were the best of the NBA. Couple last years, like they were still a good team with some injuries, and the Pacers really took care of them. It was kind of unlucky for them to get the Pacers as the first round matchup in both playoffs, because I think the Pacers knew how to play them real well. There was a rivalry there between Tyrese and Giannis, and it just didn't really work out for them. They might have gone farther. They might have had a more dominant playoff run if they could get that first round win and not have to play the Pacers until late, but they didn't have that luxury. And like I said, they're kind of in disarray right now. I mean, the lineup is Giannis had 19, nothing to slouch out, but I mean, Miles Turner hasn't really been doing much for them after that trade from Indiana with 5. Porter Jr. had 8. Bobby Portis, solid guy. I've always hated looking at him, but he always has a solid game, especially against us. He'll show up and do what he has to do. Like, that's a strong role player for the last 6-7 years, right? Dang, a forward with 13. That's really it. Cam Thomas playing for him isn't doing much. That's a bit. AJ Green 0 points. Chance 6 points. And 3 points. Was not Thanasis 0 points. 2 minutes though. 2 minutes of playtime. Good job, Thanasis Antetokounmpo. Might be the most hated player. I hate you so much. Tough. But like I said, we didn't have. Brown wasn't playing. A couple other guys were out for the time, and losing my notes here. Vooch got some good minutes, 26 minutes, 10 points. To me, Pritchard had a great game, had a little bit of a bounce back, 25 points. But to me, this was kind of a team effort. Gonzalez had a great game, 35 minutes, 18 points. Derek White, 18 points. Vooch, 10 points. Shireman, 10 points. Hauser, 14 points. Not to rattle off stats, but when you see that, obviously, Pritchard, 25 points, a lot of shots taken this game, which I don't love. 10 of 23. When you see that, it's like, maybe you were getting open, which he kind of was, but I don't know. Like, to only walk away with 25, it's not like a super great look. It's more just you were the guy getting the ball and you took your shots when you had to, and you were creating space between us and the other team. 5 for 10 from the three, so you were hitting 50% tick there, which is good. But it really was a team effort this game. This is the way I look at it, and they played him well. So not much to say about that. The Bucks again are kind of slipping down. They're not going to the playoffs this year. Giannis is gone, and there's really not much to really point out. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Good solid win. You're on the week at the time, 2-0, and then you have the Charlotte Hornets, which at the time I'm like, Charlotte's not much, right? Yeah, easy win. Easy win. Brown gets rest. That was my big thought. Like, oh, we're going to walk into Charlotte and take care of them and not going to have any issues. And I think I spoke too soon. I got ahead of myself for sure. That's disrespectful because Charlotte came in and they whooped us. They really put the paint to us. And everybody just had really, outside Derek White, it was just a bad game, a bad shooting game. Nothing looked good. It looked slow. I'm not going to get too deep into it because I do want my guests to speak on them a little more. But outside Derek White, I mean, Jaylen Brown at 20 on a night of rest against the Hornets is not impressive to me. And I don't know, it's just hard to talk about it. But I think, like I said, I think I doubted the Hornets, and our guest is going to speak a little more to them. And I will also talk about last night's game against Dallas. Cooper Flag comes to Boston, has a pretty good game. I got a little better view. I haven't been watching too many of Dallas's games, and I liked a lot of his shots. And he has a beautiful shot. Just not to glaze him, but he really does have a beautiful shot, and it was impressive to watch. So we're gonna get into the Hornets. We're gonna get into Tatum and the Celtics with my guest here coming up right now. And we're back. Drae, good to see you.
How's it going?
Bring it on, my good friend Drae Willett here. Big Charlotte Hornets fan, maybe the only Charlotte Hornets fan I know. I needed his expertise to really run down with you guys why we might have lost this game, how the Hornets are doing, because they're doing a lot better, as we were speaking before I hit record here. I don't think I've given enough credit to Charlotte throughout the year. I kind of pair them in with the Wizards and the Pelicans and kind of the bottom ring of the team, and I think they're living above that this year. So we're going to get into that in the game and go from there. So first thing I do want to ask, and kind of you can speak to the audience here, why are you a Charlotte Hornets fan? Growing up where you did, kind of a good reason, but being from New England, you got to give a little bit of reference here.
So when I was a kid, I originally just loved LeBron and stuff, and this really doesn't have anything to do with it. But my early seasons before I chose a real team, I was following LeBron. But I grew up in Connecticut, so the only thing we really have there for sports is UConn basketball. That's everything in Connecticut. It's like religion. So
Sure.
when Kemba, after his March Madness run, I was like, this is my favorite player. It's always going to be. I'm just going to follow him wherever he goes. So he gets drafted to the Bobcats. They go, 9-72? Was that the record? I was
Not
like,
good.
Yeah. I can't do this. This is horrible. But I stuck it out and had a couple good years with Kemba on the Hornets back in the Jeremy Lamb days.
God.
Followed him.
You've been through the ringer. That is something I want to point out is this is not a team up until maybe the last few years that we're doing anything of considerable achievement, but you've stuck with them.
Not even the last few years, dude. This is the first year.
This is the lone year. Yeah.
If you hear about new Hornets fans, you got to ask them. They got to name 3 players from 2018. They weren't there when we were sending out Dwayne Bacon and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
Oh, God.
They weren't there.
You're naming people I wouldn't write in my book.
I don't think anyone really knows them except for Hornets fans.
No,
maybe Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
So you're a UConn guy, obviously, from the area. They got a lot of UConn studs on that team right now. So
I actually do, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy UConn. I'm not a huge college basketball fan, but I mean they're kind of the local. Nobody's watching Boston College or UMaine, any of these teams. So UConn's kind of the name to point to and say, yeah, sure, I'll cheer for them. And they always got good players, and Kemba's one of the top tier guys coming out. How long was he playing for Charlotte before he moved on?
I think he played 9 years there. He was all NBA. He had 4 All-Stars. He was a hell of a player. He's our leading scorer all time, too.
Good, really? Still?
Yeah, still. He probably will be for a while.
Do you think so? You don't see any of these guys on this team right now? Because right now, that's a good young team. That's a good youthful core you got going.
Well, I think Kemba has something like 13,000 points. I think the closest guy right now is Melo with 6,000.
Oh,
he could definitely reach it, but we'd have to extend him probably twice.
Yeah, and I think to Kemba's credit, he really was the lone guy for a
Oh
long
yeah.
time. Where
Oh yeah.
even with LaMelo, he now has guys around him where he doesn't have to keep the load. Right, he can divvy out to other guys. But they're having a good year. One of the things I pointed out to before you hopped on was obviously new head coach,
Yep.
disciple. It's Charles Lee.
Charles Lee.
Yeah, he's one of the assistants for the Celtics for a couple years under Missoula. Missoula actually gave credit to this, but he did a couple years under Thibodeau as well. Those are good. I know how people feel about Thibodeau and how people feel about Missoula too, but those are two solid coaches in the NBA. Basketball, I always point to saying, I don't know how much coaching really does affect it, but a good coach makes a difference.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, a bad coach, you can rely on talent still and really is there for whatever, fanfare, keeping it organized for the most part, but a really good coach can make the difference of a championship, as we've seen. He learned from a couple of really good coaches, top tier, and he obviously turned this team around in a very short time. They're the 10 seed right now in the East. What people say is a really bad East. I don't necessarily agree with that. I kind of actually think if you look at I said this last week on last week's episode. If you look at the standings right now, I would say the top 4 of the East is very on par with the top 6 of the West. Maybe the
Okay.
top 2 in the West are better than most people, right? But
Yeah.
the skill level is not that. There isn't a huge discrepancy. And then you start going down, I think both conferences have their tiers. Middle tier, bottom tier, really bad. Obviously, the Wizards are maybe the worst team to
Right.
grace our
The
screens. I
Nets
hate
and
every time.
yeah.
Yeah, Nets are down there, and Pelicans are whatever's going on with them. And who else is Sacramento's having just
Sacramento
a
for sure.
horrible year. So I mean, everybody's got their own guys. Obviously, you watched on Wednesday. I watched on Wednesday. I I don't think when I ran down the week ahead last week, I was scared of Charlotte. I probably should have been more paying attention to what this team's been doing, but I think we had probably one of our more bad shooting nights on the year, and it kind of just didn't seem like we were really putting much of an effort in, which not to say Charlotte didn't have a great game. I'm not trying to discredit that. I almost think it was because of Charlotte's efforts that we looked like that, where it just looked terrible. Jaylen Brown, I thought, coming off of rest, not playing against Milwaukee, he was going to come out flying, and he didn't really do that, and nobody really had a good game. So why is that? What is happening to Charlotte this year that they are able to play a team like us with not just a close game, but that was a beatdown?
Yeah, well, it starts with the coach for sure. Like you mentioned, Charles Lee's a first-year head coach. He's really changed a lot, and like he's adopted Missoula's system too, and a lot of that revolves around just like a high volume of threes. I've got like a couple stats here for you. Just like I want to say right now for the Celtics fans listening, this isn't as bad of a loss as you think it is. We've beaten each of the last 3 champions by over 20 points. All 3 of them. We beat the
That's a good
Thunder by
result.
like 40, like in Oklahoma. Like this team is the record doesn't show how good this team is. We started like 4-14, but since we've been healthy, the starting 5, all 5 of them. So we got Ball, Miller, Knuppel, Bridges, and Diabate, who I want to talk about later because I think he's the most underrated player maybe ever. But when they're all playing together, we're 20-3. We're shooting 45% from 3. We're holding opponents to 32% from 3. And we have a 138.1 offensive rating, which means per 100 possessions, we're scoring that much points, which is one of the highest marks in like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
isn't
they're
a bad.
definitely no. They've got a lot of firepower. I like Miller. I saw him play in the championship game in college
Yep.
when Alabama was playing Texas A&M. I got to see that game in Nashville, and I remember thinking to myself, like, he was such a real all-around player. Like, he obviously was putting up shots and doing most of the work for his team, but defensively, I think he's strong. He's on a cone. That's a good piece that Charlotte picked up, among others. Obviously, you mentioned they've had Bridges for a while, and LaMelo's the obvious one everyone can point out to. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Brandon Miller, especially, I think he's taken such a jump this year. He's been hurt every year since we drafted him. His shoulder's been killing him. He had a leg injury, all that stuff. Like even during the games now, he's wearing like a crazy shoulder brace. Like it's probably like the biggest brace you'll see in the league. But this year, he's been such an offensive superpower for us. He makes the most difficult shots. He plays defense. He's like an underrated passer too. He's been our best player for sure. He's taken the mantle of like, if we need to score, it's going to this guy. over Melo, and Melo's kind of taken a different role of more of a playmaker, which I think honestly fits him better. And it's opened up a lot for people because he's bringing doubles and he's opening up threes for guys like Knuppel, who obviously have just set the rookie 3-point record. It's really opened him up. It's helped the team a lot.
Sure. LaMelo Ball, I agree with you. Kind of sitting back's kind of the wrong word, but being more of that divide and conquer, like allowing it to start with him and work out to the rest of the team, definitely makes this team better. It lifts them up another leg. When he was going to the All-Star game, and it really was just him on Charlotte, sure, it was cool letting him do whatever he wants, but you can kind of see it's just like, this is not the way the team's going to be affected. I just noticed you have his jersey hanging up in the back there.
Yeah.
Is that his jersey or am I
that's
blind?
Melo.
That's a good frame. Nice. That
Thank
signed or anything? Or
No, I wish it was signed. I actually just got it.
really good framing? You did that work yourself?
Yeah, I got the frame from Walmart, dude. You can get these things for like $20 and just throw the
Nice.
jersey in them. It's super easy to set up.
Oh, geez. I got to put my Aaron Baines jersey in a frame.
Why do you have an Aaron Baines jersey?
Hey, we all got our likes and wants.
True. That's true.
So, like, going back to the Charlotte team, obviously Charles Lee, disciple, descendant, whatever you want to call him, from Missoula, from Thibodeau, they do have that like aggressive 3-point shooting, strong defense, shared throughout the team. There's no what I kind of saw in that game was it really was going around to everybody, which hurts us defensively. When we can't block out 2 or 3 guys and all 5 guys are really strong on that side of the court, it's very hard to defend any team, obviously, right? Because not every team has 5 guys out there that defensively can stop, right? There are guys that are cones. There are guys you watch, you're like, they're just watching them go by. And we have a lot of young guys who really aren't fully up to that task yet. Obviously, I think they've stepped up, like Gonzalez and Walsh and those guys. And Walsh plays good defense, so I don't want to completely throw him in there, but there are Shireman. There's some guys out there that offensively are getting with the program, but defensively aren't there yet. So when you have your starting lineup of those 5 guys who are just super cognitive of what's going on in the game, where the ball should be, where the shot should be taken, which I think comes from the coach and what he learned back in Boston. Yep, trying to connect.
Yeah, I think I'm losing you for a second here.
Can you hear me now?
You're like, your screen's fuzzy, but I can hear you.
To get back to it, little technical difficulties. I think when they're cognitively strong, understanding where they should be on the court, where the ball should be, where body placement, simple stuff like that, very fundamental stuff, but you're sound and clean, you can play any team, right? You can beat any team. And like you said, going back to the differentials against the last 3 championships. So who's that? It's us, OKC, and Denver. It's plus 20. And it's not like any of those teams have really fallen off a cliff. Those are all 3 solid teams in the top
3 seeds in their conference.
Exactly. Yeah. It really goes to show that Charlotte is a team on the come up. Reminds me of kind of Detroit last year, where they had their guys in place, but I don't think the experience was there yet. I think Charlotte maybe one or 2 more moves from becoming a really, really hard to stop team. A lot of young cores, if they can get a couple solid vets in there. Giannis to Charlotte?
That was a rumor, and mid-season we were like, I think the rumored package was like Bridges and 3 or 4 first rounders. I wouldn't do that. No. I'd continue to keep building young because I don't think we're really a superstar away because I think Brandon Miller is becoming that superstar.
Yeah.
I think what we need to do is let the team keep developing together and like fill out the bench. And even right now, I think the bench is pretty good. Like we've got former Celtic, Grant Williams, of course. We've got, what else we got on the bench right now? We just got Kobe White.
Yep.
At the deadline, who's honestly,
he's a good player.
He comes in. Yeah, dude, when Melo comes out, we don't lose the engine to the offense.
Sure.
It was the best possible move we could have made. I love it. But I think we just fill out the bench, let the team develop together as like young guys, and I think we'll take the big step next year.
I liked Kobe White in Chicago. He's a fun player to watch, and I agree with you. It's kind of like you don't lose that engine. He's kind of got that jittery, might not be the most accurate word, but he really does keep everything going, and it's like you don't stop.
Quick.
Fluid. It's a hopeful scene. It's good to see Charlotte have something to cheer for. Everything else has been, you're not a football fan, are you? Carolina, you a Panthers fan? Or?
No, I'm not a Panthers fan.
Oh, right, yeah. So you really, you're a New England guy, but you have that Kemba love. So, and look, I'm not going to stand here and say you're no you're no slouch. Anybody who's actively rooting for Charlotte for the last 10 years is has sacrificed something. So
It's been a journey
yeah,
for sure.
I credit to you for sure. I mean, that's definitely a team I would get excited for cheering for. When you cheer for a team like the Celtics, and it's like just been, obviously we've had our down years, but for the most part, it's been success through the history. It's like hard to say, you guys don't know pain, right? It's like, well, Tatum blows his AC or his Achilles. That's a sucky moment, but we stayed level, never really dropped, and we're thankful for that. So it must be good for you to experience this, who hasn't had a lot of that, to all of a sudden see some hope coming down the path.
It's been hard to watch the last, like, I don't know, 6 years.
Yeah,
I mean, we've been the bottom of the East since I can really remember watching. We've made the playoffs once in the last, what, like 15 years, 2016.
probably. Yeah,
So, I mean, this is everything. This is the best season we've had in a long time.
sure. I can't, like I said before, I always throw that team in. Organizationally, they are not a team that can get out of the mud.
Yes.
And it feels like if they kind of sit tight and let everything flourish here, they will be in the playoffs soon enough. Obviously, championships are always hard to strive for, but you know, getting in the playoffs is the first step. Build from there. Even with Tatum and Brown, we had some bad years from like 2010 to 2015. Got those two guys in, and we're back in the playoffs. It could happen faster than you imagine. I mean, you look at the Detroit Pistons team, right? Two
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
ago, they're on a 30-game losing streak. And now they're the number one team in the East. So it
Yep.
really is. In basketball, especially, I think it can be a quick turnaround. I'm really hoping something good comes along the way. They're a playing team right now. Do you
Yeah.
see this team going through the plan with, getting a spot in the real playoffs? I don't know what you would call that jump from playing to normal playoffs, but
Like a top 6 team.
yeah.
So I think the ceiling for this team right now is number 6. I don't think we get any higher than that.
Okay.
But 6 is possible. If we go look at the standings right now, so number 6, the Sixers are 34-28. We're 32-22. So we're 2 wins back, which isn't horrible.
That's
And
not
then in
that far,
between, no, no. In between us, we've got the Hawks, the Magic, and the Heat, and the Sixers. But we just lost to the Heat last night, which is a killer. But Tyler Hero had a crazy game, so I'm not really mad at that. He was making everything. But I think that if we land in the play-in, I think we'll land as the 7th seed. I think we're the best team in that 4-team group, especially since January 1st. I mean, we've been playing out of our mind when we're healthy.
Can you speak to the rookie, Con Knuppel?
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't 100% sure how that last name goes. I've said it probably 3 different ways in all my videos, and I haven't heard the right verbiage yet. So what about him is allowing this team to flourish towards the back half of the season here?
Yeah, so I've heard Knipple, I've heard Knuppel. I think it's Knipple. So we'll just call him Con. How about that?
Yeah,
We'll
that
call him Con.
works.
Some people call him K2, which is funny. Con is just amazing. He is a mini Klay Thompson. He reminds me so much of his game. He's the best shooter in the NBA right now. I think it's like undoubtable, unless you want to count Curry, who of course is Curry. But other than that, I think it's him. He's set the rookie record. He leads the league in 3-pointers right now. I think he leads the league in 3-point percentage too. Or if he's not, he's like top 5. He just opens up the floor so much because, like we said, we're kind of in that Missoula offense because Lee came from him, and we like to take a lot of threes. He's great at them, but what really helps is that Diabate opens him up a lot, our starting center. Well, a lot of people were like, oh my God, the Hornets might have the worst starting center in the league going into this year. A lot of people said that about Keita too, so you can kind of relate to this.
Yeah.
But he is so good in the pick and roll, and the thing is, he doesn't want to score. He does everything else. He's a great pick and roll player. He's a great defender, great hustle, all that. And him in the pick and roll opens up everybody because usually we're running it with, now it's Brandon Miller. Diabate comes up, sets the screen. Miller's going around it. And if you don't keep up with Miller, obviously he's going to score. But if you do, it's probably because you crash into somebody else. And then on the outside, we have Khan, who's a complete sniper. You've got Melo, who can hit any 3-point, honestly, from anywhere on the court. You saw it in the Celtics game. He was hitting some ridiculous shots.
Yep.
And then we've got another guy like Grant Williams who can knock him down. Miles Bridges shoots, I think, over 38% from 3. Everyone can shoot, and it really starts at that pick and roll level, and Khan opens up so much for it.
Yeah, for sure. I go back to Grant Williams' game against the Bucks 4 or 5 years ago. That guy has it in him every once in a while.
Oh, he can let it fly.
Yeah, he'll control a game when he wants to. I don't know what happened, honestly. He took a couple of bad injuries towards
Yeah.
the end of his Celtics career. I don't know if that really kind of pushed him down what he was, but he was one of our more, maybe not dominant, but consistent shooters, especially in the playoffs. And So I get that. Solid bench. I like Khan. Obviously, he's up for rookie of the year against Cooper, and it's
Yeah,
not as big of a gap as most people would think it is. He's
yeah.
got some odds for being rookie of the year. We're getting close. It's less than 20 games for most teams at this point. Do you think he's going to finish off, or do you think Cooper is just the name and the number one pick, and they're going to throw it at him at the end? What do you think?
So Cooper is an unbelievable player for sure, but I think Khan deserves to win Rookie of the Year. And I think obviously I'm a Hornets fan. There's a little bit of bias there, but I think he deserves it. He's shooting almost 50, 40, 90 as a rookie, which is something that most NBA superstars can't do. I mean, I want to say 95% of the league would never touch that number. Obviously, he leads the league in 3-pointers too. He's also winning, which I think has always been a big factor in any NBA award. So, and
That
I think,
I think that's the most important
yeah,
part. I mean, this Dallas team, no blame to the kid. He had a tough start, but they are 21 and 41, whatever it is. They're
yeah.
not doing too well. No Kyrie, no AD. AD's gone. Derek Lively hasn't been around. It's hard to throw it all on him, but no one was expecting much out of the Charlotte team. So to see them, like I said, right now be in the plan, very well can make the playoffs by the end and could be going against the Celtics in the first round. We don't know. So it is definitely to his credit. His efficiency off the charts, historical. Right now, it would be my vote to give it to him. I
Yeah.
I think Cooper has a pretty shot, but yeah,
Yeah. Cooper's always going to be the favorite because he's got the big name.
yeah.
But I think what really pushes Khan over is not only did we suck last year, he's really the only starting piece that we brought in. And now we're, where we are now, which is a great improvement. But also, he's averaging like half a point less than Cooper while also having 3 other 18-point per game scorers playing with him. Cooper is getting most of the volume when he plays Dallas, right?
Right.
But Khan's putting up the same numbers scoring wise. He's also a great rebounder, and he's playing with all these other options that are taking up the ball from him. He's doing it with less volume.
It's impressive. It for sure is impressive. What the Charlotte team is doing is impressive. It's getting close. I, for one, hope to see them inch into the playoffs because I look at the teams like the Heat right now. The Heat, to me, are a know-nothing team. They always do enough to get in there, but there's nothing about it that excites me. Orlando has been in it the last couple of years, but even more this year, it's not a team that they might have a good game against us, but I don't really want to see them in the playoffs. I would rather some more exciting team coming in the back half on the 7-8, and Charlotte's definitely one of those teams. So I hope to see them slip in and hopefully maybe get something done. Maybe get a series win against Detroit, help us out a little bit. That would be fun. Yeah, but we'll see.
It all depends on the matchup, man.
Yeah.
It really does. Because if we sneak to the 6, and what would that be? Would that be you or the Knicks at the 3 seed? What do you think?
We're so tight with the Knicks right now. I don't think I could. I can't predict it. We could
Yeah,
be 3. We're only a game ahead, I believe, right at this moment. But we might play them one more time. And 20 games is still a lot of games for that close.
yeah,
So it really could be 2 or 3.
yeah,
We're going to be one of 2 or 3. I don't think anybody's going to catch Detroit, and I don't think right now the 4th seed is Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland's going to catch up to either of us. But yeah, we could be 2 or 3. Knicks could be 2 or 3.
yeah. So I think depending on the matchups, the Hornets could win a series. I think if we play the Pistons, we're not going to beat the Pistons. I think we can take them to maybe 5 or 6, but we won't beat them. I think we can give the Knicks 7, but I think we'd lose. I actually think the best matchup for us is the Celtics, just based on how we played them. I don't think we would beat you guys, but I think we could push it to 7.
Yeah, you got a pretty convincing win on us on Wednesday. So I like I said, and the way we're constructed this year, we're not as with all the youth we have. It's hard for me to just be confident just because I'm confident, right? I
Yeah,
need to see these guys win a series before I just give them credit. Where in years past, obviously that team was full of veterans and guys who have won before, and we just don't have as many. We have champions on the team, but just not as much in the pack. So it's going to be fun to see. Hopefully down the road we'll catch something, but that's more of what I wanted to get into. Obviously, you are also a Celtics viewer. You watch
yep,
this team. I
yeah.
hope you listen to the Green Line Breakdown every week. Obviously, every Monday, 10 a.m. You're one of the first listeners. That's what I heard. But so obviously Tatum came back last night.
Yes.
I was excited. I hope everybody listening was excited. I'll tell you, I was sitting outside with some of my good friends outside of a bar across the street from the Garden. And when I tell you, just to see him get on the court, everybody in the bar was excited. We're all clapping for absolutely nothing happening in those first minutes from the guy. And just to see him walk around and cut and run up and down the court, it was an exciting feel. I want
Yeah,
to give credit to Jaylen Brown for what he's done, obviously, up until this point. I am going to be honest, I've always been more of a Tatum fan than I have been a Brown fan, but he's earned his respect for carrying this team like he did
right.
to this point. And not to say Tatum all of a sudden is taking the top position. Tatum's coming back from a blown Achilles. Very
Yeah,
hard injury to come back to, especially in the short amount of time that he did. You got to see
yeah.
that first half of the game last night. What did you think?
Well, other than the shooting, which he started slow, I was impressed by how he came back considering the circumstances. I mean, this guy blew his Achilles less than a year ago. The average timeline for that is a year, right? He
Mhm.
came back months earlier and he played good NBA minutes, which I think is a win for anyone coming off an Achilles tear. Obviously, he wasn't the Tatum we saw the last couple of years, but I don't think you guys should expect him to be right away. Like I said, I'm
I
obviously
don't.
the Achilles is it's the worst injury you could have. For him to come back and have the stat line he did, starter on any team for sure off an Achilles tear. So that's good, and there's nowhere to go but up. Seriously,
He had a think for, adding in the context of what he's coming off of the timeline. I think for a first game, more than happy to see what he did. The
yeah,
rebounds were great. Not even so much the stats, but seeing him run up and down and cut hard. A guy coming back from an injury like that, it's more so, and they've been saying it, mental confidence. Is he willing to drive and go for a dunk? Obviously, we saw him do it last night. He stuffed
yeah,
himself on the rim. But just to see him attempt it gave me a little hope to say he's confident that that leg's going to hold up. He's not shy. He's not going to shy away from anything. It was good to see. It was good to see him hold up and not all of a sudden. If he fell last night, I was going to have a heart attack.
yeah,
And you know what? Cooper played him right away. This wasn't like
yeah,
he was playing some bench player. He was playing who right now, the way that Dallas team is, he was playing the number one guy on that Dallas team.
for sure.
And defensively, it was a little tough to watch. He was a little bit of a cone at some times. But again, I don't think that's the leg. I think that's cardio. That's him not playing any games. I mean, these guys in the NBA, right? I always say the first like 20, 30 games, they're not even really playing basketball. They're not really playing basketball until you tell me. I think around like Christmas time. It's like all of a sudden, like it goes up a notch. Like they've been having a long preseason. I don't know if I'm discrediting them when I say that, but I just feel like when I watch these games from the start of the season to the finish, and I don't miss many, it just takes a jump. And I don't know if that's because it's a long season, they don't want to get going right away. But do you agree that in basketball, especially, it takes a while to get to that full game speed?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely, because that's when the coach is really figuring out what type of team you have. You're figuring out your identity. The coach is trying out different rotations. Things flow better towards the middle end of the season, and especially when you start playing for a playoff seed, and you're like, oh my god, we can't lose. Like that's kind of the situation the Hornets are in now. Like if we lose, we drop. We can't afford to lose. So everyone's giving their 100%.
I completely agree with you. And I actually think one of the benefits because of Jaylen Brown, what this team has been able to do is the Celtics aren't really in that position. You know
Yeah,
you're going to be 2 or 3. So you don't have to throw Tatum in there and say, get this one, get this one. You have a luxury to go through the motions to get him up to speed. Obviously, he played, I think it was 27 minutes last night. I don't think anybody expected that. Everybody thought it was going to be minutes restrictions, and it was probably going to be 20 or less. And to see him play not only a lot of minutes, but important minutes, the fourth
yeah,
quarter, the middle of the fourth quarter, excuse me, it was very hopeful, very inspiring. Good to see him out there. Uh, Obviously, like we talked about, defensively wasn't great. Some of the shots early on weren't great, but I think what I notice is that his passing hasn't gone away. His recognition hasn't gone away. And
yeah,
that's going to be the most important part come the playoffs, where he might not be the primary, but if you go back to when we won in the finals, he was divvying out the ball. That was his best asset to the team in that run, where he was getting good assists, he was getting good space. And if you just have that guy on a lineup with Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, who seemed to take a step up last night because Tatum is his best asset. It makes him a better player. Kata, who is coming through as like you mentioned before, he's taking a step. Tatum being there and allowing that to really flourish is his best asset. It's the cohesion of this team that's going to allow them to be successful in the playoffs.
Right. And again, first game back, and a lot of the stuff, like with an Achilles or any type of leg injury, a lot of it is mental. The big thing that I think is going to help Tatum the most is that putback dunk he had. Like, I think it was his first 2 points, right?
Yes.
Was it? Yeah. Doing that and getting the crowd going and feeling yourself land on that leg, he's going to be confident. He's going to get so much better as you guys go on. And the best part about all this, you guys are in a great position because even if you want to rest him for a game, you guys are still a top 3 team in the East, even without him.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are in a great spot.
It's good to be green. That's how I feel right now. Yeah, that was important for him, I think, to get those points off.
Yeah.
It really took a long time. I mean, he didn't take a lot of shots, and some of them weren't the best shots in the first 2 quarters there. But for him to get that put back, and that's kind of like, this might be dramatic, but I think he was looking for a moment like that.
Yeah.
It's good that it came. He recognized that ball wasn't going to drop. He goes up. He gets the crowd starstruck almost, gets right back into the game, takes kind of a dagger 3, not too far behind, and that got the wheels going. And he looked, obviously not like his normal self, but he looked like a player to still be threatened by. You saw Dallas started playing him tight, and it opened up the floor for the rest of them, and that game was never close, that Dallas game. We got into the third quarter, and we were, put a gap of 20 points on him, and it never got close. He seemed happy by the end of it. Jaylen Brown, I don't know why he does this, but gets on stream right after a game. And he's talking about good to see his brother. And Jaylen said that the most important thing was not his stats, but that he was happy to be out there and he was prepared.
Yeah, I think Jaylen's totally right about that. Absolutely. I think that confidence is going to carry him forward. It's going to bring the whole team up. But my question for you is, I mean, the media has talked about this forever. What's his role going to be? Is he going to take a sidestep to Brown? Is it going to try to be as even as you can do it? How's it going to play?
My biggest fear, obviously, what is going to happen. I think until even the playoffs start, you got to see what type of conditioning he can get back into. It's only about a month and a half, which is not a lot of time. For me to stand here, I don't think he's going to have the opportunity to be kind of the primary over Jaylen Brown. Which I hope he doesn't have that opportunity. Selfishly, I hope he doesn't get to that point because I think it will cause problems. Where all of a sudden it's like, you haven't been doing any of the work. And I don't think Tatum thinks like that. I think Tatum really is humble in a way to say, Brown's been doing this. So much to say, I mentioned this about a month ago in one of my old episodes. He almost didn't come back. He was getting a feeling of, and I think he was always going to come back, but he was like, Jaylen's saying all these things. I want to let this team go on a run. The second seed without me, maybe they can just do it all. And then finally, it's like, you know what? We're going to come back because the goal is to win a championship. And I think Jaylen knows that. You have a guy like Tatum, even if he's at his half of what he is, that's a good player to have on your team. Yeah. Wouldn't you rather 10 good players versus like 2 all-stars? Like, it's basketball. When you go into the playoffs, you need a solid lineup of 8, 9 guys. And right now, some of those young guys, not to say I don't trust them, but they're obviously not going to be a major factor when these games get tight and when they start grinding out. So Tatum is a proven vet, even if he is like the second top scorer on the team, or that might even be a little too hopeful. If he is like a top 3 guy, top 4 guy, I think Tatum's going to be fine with it. And I think that's just kind of the reality of what it's going to look like.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, like even the numbers he put up last game, like he would be a starter on any team the way he played last game. So yeah, I think you guys are, again, in a really good spot. I personally think Brown should keep it rolling as the first option for you guys. I think that would just be more seamless. I don't think it's a smart idea to change the game plan this far into the season. Obviously, Tatum's going to score. He's going to do his thing. But I think he should kind of take that role of, especially while he's still recovering, more of like a catch and shoot guy. I think I've always thought he should go to the basket more, even when he was fully healthy. So maybe we can see him do a little bit more of that. Maybe not with the knee, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I think too, if you're looking at the roster, the starting lineup last night was Tatum, Brown, Derek White, Kata, and Hauser. Yeah. Pritchard's coming off the bench because that's where he likes to be. He likes coming off the bench. Even he might get more minutes than those starting lineup, but when you have a starting lineup that still has Sam Hauser's the worst guy in the lineup. It's not Tatum coming off an Achilles tear.
And he's a good player.
I think I hate on Hauser too much. Like, that is the truth. Like, Tatum is still the guy. He
Yeah,
still has what he has. Obviously, it's a major injury, but he's young. He's 29. Your
yeah,
body responds well. He obviously came back. The biggest thing is the time frame, right? It's 230 days, whatever it was. Dame Lillard, who same injury, maybe a month before Tatum, is not back, is not coming back this season. He's shut
right.
down. Now, Dame Lillard is 7 years older than Tatum.
Yeah.
So it makes a difference. But Halliburton, who was like right behind him by like 3 weeks, he's not coming back this season. And he probably shouldn't. The Pacers are,
Yeah.
sorry.
I think if the Pacers somehow stayed as like a top 5 seed, then he would come back, but I don't
Yeah.
think he would be yet either. I think Tatum like seriously came back at a record speed.
He put the work in. I think everything
Yeah.
he did it was difficult. It was an anomaly. It was hard work to be back in this time. I think he's cleared by the doctors. Obviously, his cardio is not there, but I trust the Celtics staff. If they say he's good to go, he's good to go. And he's been cleared for weeks. This isn't like he got cleared and was right back in. Medically, he was cleared, but they gave him weeks to kind of get back to it. So I think it's going to hold up fine. A lot of people were speaking, guys on Twitter who have no degree in anything, no medical background, and we're just just saying, oh, this is way too early. And Kobe came back in less time at an
Did he
older age.
really?
He did. He came back in 210 days. Kobe has the quickest turnaround for an Achilles tear.
Wasn't Kobe like at least a few years older too, right?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
like 33, 34 at the time.
Right.
Now, Kobe's Kobe, and I'm sure Tatum texted him last night, but it's still like, this isn't, and that was 10 years ago, by the way, right? So obviously medicine has gotten better
For sure, yeah.
over the last 10 years. So I think anybody making the claims of he came back too early and this isn't going to work out for them, he's not going to be up to speed, I don't think we can speak on that. I think we got to see how the 20 games play out and kind of judge from there. But
Yeah.
that's a good transition into, from your perspective, we talked about the Hornets and what do you think they'll do? What do you think this Celtics team is capable of doing this year?
Well, it really depends on how Tatum fits in. I want to see what Missoula does, like what role he really puts him in. If he puts him in like the starting scoring role, and I think if he forces him to be the first option, I think the Celtics can be upset in the playoffs. I think if you guys roll with Brown and let Tatum take not a back seat, but a passenger seat, if you will, I think you guys can definitely make the finals again. But I wouldn't want to see the Pistons if I were you guys. I think the Pistons have a really good matchup for you guys.
I'm more fearful of the Knicks.
Really? Why?
I think there's nothing to point at to say it's a basketball reason. It's just that like gut feeling.
I see.
We play against the Knicks, weird stuff happens.
Right.
Where Detroit, and I talked about this early on, but Detroit is a very good team. None of those guys have playoff experience.
That's true.
They are probably walking into a trap. They remind me of Sacramento a couple of years ago. They're a better team than Sacramento was, but
Yeah.
Sacramento had nobody with playoff experience, and they are very similar in that way. So not to hate on Detroit, but it would not shock me if Detroit lost their first round matchup.
Yeah. I think the difference between the Beam team, Sacramento, you're talking about, and this Pistons team is straight up just Cade Cunningham being on the brink.
Yeah, that is true.
I think in maybe a year or two, we're talking about Cade Cunningham in the same breath as we are as like SGA. He's that good. And right now, like you said, these guys are all fresh. We haven't seen who that real second star is besides Duren, of course. But I think there's somebody on that team that can get a lot better. And they're such a good team. You're right, though. I think maybe this year it might be too early for them. Next year, they'll be back. I don't think they're going to lose anybody.
No, yeah,
And
absolutely.
as for the Knicks, I see your point. Obviously, Knicks Celtics is, goes tale as old as time. They also have an experienced team. Obviously, Brunson. I think Brunson is the most underrated playoff player maybe in the league. He averaged like 32 in the playoffs last year, and nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
But they're beatable. They have been all season. They have a new coach, too, that doesn't have a lot of playoff experience coming from the Kings, coincidentally enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you guys can beat the Knicks. I think you should have some faith in that, but I can see your point.
So, I mean, we end 1 and 2, if we're seeing Detroit in the conference finals, I get your point. Detroit's got 2 playoff wins at that point. They're feeling good about themselves.
Yeah.
If we end and we're going against Cleveland in the finals, let's say, what do you think there? You think we're going past that Cleveland team?
Cleveland's interesting because, obviously there's the big question around James Harden in the playoffs, right? If James Harden can play like he plays in the regular season and the playoffs, the Cavs could easily make a run like the Pacers did last year. I think you guys match up with them pretty well, though. I think if Tatum's healthy and he actually, has a better defensive game than he did last game, you guys should beat them. I think Mitchell's going to be your biggest problem in that because who would guard Mitchell? Would it be JB?
Probably.
Right.
And Mitchell always is the problem. He always scores. He's like Tyrese Maxey on the Sixers. The two of them, they always get 30 easy on us. It's just they're guys that see the Celtics team and play up no matter what. They and I like those kind of players. Those are guys that see the moment and play up to the moment. Like, this is fanfare. They enjoy that and they love being a part of it. They play well. I love Mitchell. I love that Cleveland team. I always have. I actually hate James Harden, though. So James Harden joining that team almost made me more comfortable because every time he plays us, he blows it. Nets, Sixers, even going back to when he was playing for Houston, and the Clippers. He just never shows up against us. I think he had one game against us when he was playing with the Sixers where he extended it to game 7, but that was it. That's all I can point to. I actually almost think him being on that team helps us if we play Cleveland. But I like the rest of the team. I like Allen. They got who they got. It's going to be an interesting playoffs. I think it is one of the more balanced playoffs on the West and the East.
Right.
Obviously, you got two teams, OKC in the West, in the Spurs. LA doesn't really do anything for me. Houston doesn't do anything for me. I know they're good teams, but they don't frighten me like I think they should have going into this season. So, what is your pick coming out of the West?
The West is interesting. I think the easy pick is definitely Oklahoma. I find it hard to believe any team beats them. The Spurs are fun. Like, Wemby is just amazing to watch. Steph Castle is one of my favorite players. I think probably, if not the best, one of the best defending guards in the whole league right now. And he can put up 20 on any night, which is great. But I think the team that you didn't mention that I would look out for is definitely Denver.
Right.
They've got championship experience. Obviously, they have the best player in the world in Jokic. Jamal Murray can put up 30 any game he wants to. And then they have the surrounding pieces this year, too. Guys like, he hasn't played up to his potential, but Cam Johnson was a good ad for them. Christian Brown, who's been a really solid role player for them. They could definitely make a run. And then there's also the Timberwolves. You never know what Ant Edwards is going to do. Edwards has had an upset win in a series each of the last 3 years. He has a crazy playoff resume, and he's 24, 23?
They are a very underrated playoff team.
Yeah.
They do seem to, where they're iffy. They're a top 4 team right now, but they have weird losses during the regular season, and then they get to the playoffs and they just look solid. Is that Edwards? Is that coaching? They have a good surrounding team. They got DiVincenzo. They got those guys. Yeah, I personally would like to see Minnesota in the finals. I feel like Edwards would be exciting to watch. Obviously Jokic is Jokic in the Nuggets, right? But I think I've seen enough of the Nuggets. This is coming from this is personal opinion of what I would want to see, what I think would be exciting, not really what their skill levels are. I think a Minnesota and then Spurs or OKC finals would be fantastic. Obviously, it's probably going to end up being, it might not be Spurs, OKC if they get back to the conference finals. It's not going to shock anybody.
Yeah.
But to see Spurs and OKC is not a guarantee. I don't think the Spurs, they're young. They have good players. Wemby is Wemby. But to see them drop wouldn't shock me because they are also a youthful team. Playoffs are the playoffs. It's a different beast. So to see OKC and Minnesota would be a really good matchup. Or even the Rockets or LA make it that far. Again, I think it would be an interesting matchup. I don't think they have it in them, but it would be fun.
I share your opinion on the Rockets. I don't believe in them. Obviously, KD's KD, and guys like Reed Shepherd are starting to emerge, but something about that team. I've watched quite a few Rockets games. I don't see them going that far.
I think part of it's Udoka. I almost think he got too much credit for the run we went on with him against the Warriors in 22. I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but people were really strong about Mazzulla being a step down from him. And I'm not so sure, especially from what I've seen alone from this season. Mazzulla gets those guys ready, and these Rocket teams have weird issues. And I think that stems from him. He is really like a weird guy. He has a certain type of aggressive coaching and has the players playing an aggressive play style that kind of leaves open holes, almost like an overexertion, and could lead to problems. So that's why I don't believe in the Rockets. LA hasn't been working out with
Yeah.
those top three. So
I think you need a few more seasons to really decide who was the better Celtics coach, because a lot of the team from the Udoka championship years is very similar to what Missoula has now. So I think you should give it a couple years before you decide on that. Obviously, with how Udoka's job ended too, there's always a bit of what
that
if
team
there. Yeah.
really is. And where we were, losing with 2 games to go in the finals, and for him to pull that, nobody was happy. And I just think it's never going to be a good look for him when he comes back. Part of he's salty at us. I'm not going to blame the Celtics organization for firing him when he did for that. Like, he was like, what? We were too hard on him for doing what he did. It's like, it was just bad look. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it worked out for the Celtics. You guys are still a
Fuck your
contender.
coworkers. That's
Yeah,
pretty
that's the
easy. I
lesson
don't
here.
know.
Don't do that.
Yeah, geez. Well,
But another team out of the West, like you said, LA, the Lakers. Luka can go for pretty much 40 any night. LeBron is still going to be LeBron in the playoffs. He hasn't been himself. Well, he's still been pretty good, but he's not the top 10 player anymore, I wouldn't say. But in the playoffs, he's always a different animal. And then Reeves, I think nobody really talks about Reeves the way he should. I think he's a step away from being like a top 25 guy. And then the problem with them is really Ayton and his effort. If Ayton can give you 15 and 10 a game, they can easily make the Western Conference Finals, I think. But they also are going to have to run through the Thunder in probably round 2. That's difficult. And then for like the bottom seed West guys that we haven't really touched on, my favorite of those teams is actually the Clippers with Kawhi and how he's playing right now. I don't think it's a stretch to say Kawhi's been like a top 8 player this season. He's been playing out of his mind and just completely carrying them. Like, they started horribly. They were one of the worst teams in the West. And then they came back all the way to 500, kind of similar to how the Hornets did. And then they traded James, kind of like, oh, this is a sign that we're kind of out here. But they've had a couple players like emerge, like some rookies. Like, have you seen Niederhauser play, their center?
no.
I think that kid is next up for like leading the league in blocks. That kid's going to be really good. So shout out to him. Out of everyone in like the lower tier Western Conference like playoff bracket, I think the Clippers are my favorite team over there.
In my opinion, Kawhi is a guy that shouldn't even be playing right now. I agree with you. He's playing out of his mind. Kawhi is, he's going to be one of those recognized guys as maybe never won a championship. He won 2.
Everyone
never
MVP though.
was the most exciting guy. He plays this really solid basketball. The 2019 run is obviously historical. It's always going to be looked at as a unique time in NBA history, but he's always just been quietly successful. I do agree. I do think with all that salary stuff at the beginning of the season, he should have been suspended for a considerable time. And the fact that nothing has happened makes me think they're waiting till after the season's over. And I think they're going to
they are.
Yeah. So Clippers, I agree with what you say. They're just another team where, and that's partly because of the organization, they're just never super intimidating.
Yeah. I think we kind of touched on all the teams that could make any sort of a run in the West. To touch on this Kawhi thing really quick, as a fan, is it crazy to kind of just like not care? It's like, I just want to watch Kawhi play basketball before he gets too old, man. He's so good.
I'm ethically sound in the NBA.
Right.
Even though they let a lot of stuff slide. The gambling issues with Rozier, that was more the federal government than it was the NBA. But I don't know. I feel like salary cap avoidance is like one of the more worst crimes when it comes to the rules. Like, if you're talking about like one of these guys beat up their wives or girlfriends or whatever, that's always that's a crime. That's a crime if you're not a basketball player. When you look at just like the rules, I feel like salary cap avoidance and paying under the table is always one of the worst offenses. So for a team to get nothing from it, especially him, like that it was a considerable amount of money. And you know what? They never did anything with it. The fact that they saved all that paying him through some weird organization. But it just like, I don't know. I feel like you can't let it slide with no reprimand.
Yeah, I agree that you can't let it slide. I think people don't talk about it as much as they should, because it's the Clippers and they're not that good.
Right.
If the Thunder were doing this, we wouldn't hear the end of it. No way.
If this was the Celtics and it was Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. Any top team, really.
Right.
But since they're not a contender, really, it's like, whatever. Let's just watch Kawhi play basketball and enjoy it. But you're right, because if it like snowballs to other teams, it's going to be a big problem. You're right.
And maybe I always said when that came out, I said, Jalen Brunson's contract is very suspicious.
Launch that investigation right now.
Well, that's the thing is like you open that can of worms. Does it spread to other teams? I think it very well does, especially in the
Probably.
Knicks. Yeah, you're right. It's because it's the Clippers and even Kawhi himself, who obviously is always one of the best players, but he's not one of the more like tagline
Yeah,
players. I don't know if that's the right wordage. Obviously, like Tatum and Jokic, those are always guys they're talking about. Or you did this or you did that. Kawhi's
right.
just playing sound basketball, and
Yeah, people like Kawhi.
people like
There's
Kawhi.
not a lot of Kawhi haters out there.
I like Kawhi, even though I think what he did was weird. I still like him as a player. He
Yeah.
could have committed an actual crime, but no, he's just doing dumb NBA rule
Yeah, having Miles
diversion.
Bridges on the team will always leave like a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. For sure. I totally get that.
Yeah, what did he end up serving? 10?
I couldn't tell you like the exact like legal repercussions of it, but he
Yeah.
definitely had a suspension for at least a while.
I feel like I thought he was up for jail time, but I could be
I think he
wrong.
was. I think he
Yeah.
was. I don't know if it was
I
like
don't know
a
enough
pill
about it,
thing
but
or have to like Google it or something, but
man,
not as much as it probably should have happened. Yeah.
man, you seen him play basketball though? He's so good at
Yeah,
it.
he can dunk his ass off though.
He's so
You seen him and
garbage.
Melo on a pick and roll lob? Insane.
Sure, it's fun to watch. Well, I mean, we covered a lot of bases there. The Hornets, the Celtics. We looked at kind of what the playoffs are shaping up to be. Do you have a finals prediction before we start to close out here?
Well, finals prediction. As much as I hate to say it, it's going to be the Thunder again. They're just too good. The only team that can stop them is Wemby, and I think the biggest problem the Spurs face is actually going to be in the second round if they have to play the Timberwolves or the Nuggets. I think
Mm-hmm.
that could be a harder matchup because you've seen what Wemby does against Chet. He like turns into a superhero. They've beaten him like 4 out of 5 games this year.
Yeah,
I think the Spurs are the best matchup to beat the Thunder. The problem is the Spurs getting to the Thunder.
sure.
So out of the West, I'm going to say the Thunder. And then out of the East, I still think it's the Pistons. I hate to say it's not the Celtics because the Celtics have a special place in my heart, but I
It's
think the
okay.
Pistons are doing something that the record is crazy. The best player is insane. They have the supporting cast. It's the right like game plan. They have good coaching. I think they're the favorites out of the East.
I like it. I think you know enough about this league where that is a very solid choice.
1-1
I'm
is boring, I know, but
yeah, I'm gonna pick the more fun choice.
okay.
I want to see them again in the finals. I don't like SGA. I don't like Chet.
I don't either. I'm not
I
a big
like J
I
Dub.
actually
He's
kind of
the
hate
only
the
guy
Thunder.
I do like, and he's a friggin' Rottweiler, but I like him. I think I'm gonna pick the Spurs because everything you said I agree with, but I think it's gonna work out in their favor.
Okay.
I do think Wemby's gonna play lights out in the playoffs, and I think that surrounding cast is really gonna, play decent enough. I think the Boston Celtics are going to the finals this year.
What a surprise.
Because Jayson Tatum is back. He looked like a stud last night. No, what I think's going to happen is I think Detroit's going to drop it before we see them.
Okay.
If
To
we
who?
see Detroit in
To who? Charlotte?
probably Cleveland.
Cleveland. Oh, second round, you
I
think?
think Cleveland, who sneaky has had a lot of playoff experience and have taken their licks. They've actually been through turmoil in the past few playoffs, and
Yeah.
I think they're kind of in a position where they're comfortable. Their coaching is a little more advanced, and I do think they're going to get it over Detroit. And if that's the case, I think we're going to take care of them. It's going to be a good matchup in the finals, but I do think, Cleveland, if we get past New York, that's the big one. But if it's Cleveland, Boston, in the conference finals, I don't think we're going to put it to them.
So let me ask you, do you think a top in the first round, right? Do any of the top 4 seeds on either side lose? You
I
think it's
don't
gonna be
think
all
so.
chalk first round?
I don't know about the West.
Okay. Well, let's
The
go to the
West
East.
is
The
more
East.
likely to happen. I don't think that's going to happen in the East. If you look at 6 through the potential 5 through 8 in the East, it's like all the top 4 teams, except Detroit, are guys who are conditioned in the playoffs, have been through it, good coaching. And Detroit has good coaching, but they just haven't had the experience. So, but they're a talented team. So I don't see them dropping to what is going to be the 8 seed, even though, if that's Charlotte, or I just don't think it's going to happen. It could happen in the West, but I think the East is going to line up as, if it ends up being Detroit, us, New York, Cleveland, I think Cleveland's going to get it over Detroit. I think we're going to squeeze it out over New York, and it's going to be us over Cleveland. And then us against the Spurs, I think would be a fantastic finals. The Spurs play us really well in the couple of games we played them already. I think it's fun. I think there's a lot of storylines there. Obviously, Wemby's first time, only in his 3rd year. I think it reminds a lot teams of what we were, especially those early instances. We dropped it against Cleveland in 2019, but it'd be like if that team got to the finals. And of course, I'm going to pick the Celtics over the Spurs at that
Of
point. So,
course, yeah.
yeah. Oh, why wouldn't I? Yeah, it's not like I'm a fan or anything.
No, no.
Gotta hang another. I don't know if you can see this over here. Move my camera, but I'm gonna have to put in a little 2026 there. Add to the
Get the
background.
tattoo and add a year every year.
God. Yeah. Maybe add a whole nother banner on the leg. Such a success story from where, not even where people thought we would work, but if you go back to the first 2 weeks, we were not a good team at all. And, we figured it out like we always do. So,
Right.
well, this was a great conversation.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. I hope you had a lot of fun. I will definitely, the more closer we get to the playoffs, I think I'm going to have a little more round tables like I had with like 4 or 5 guests on. The conversation has become, numb for me reading off what we're doing week in and week out. I think it's going to become a little more argumentative as we get to the playoffs and into the playoffs. But like I said, hope you had fun. Thanks for joining. Right before we click off, I got to do what I do every week and look at the games. I got the Charlotte schedule in front of me here.
Yeah, let's do some predictions.
Yeah, so let me know what you think. Big game tomorrow. We're recording this on Saturday. Obviously, I'll post it on Monday, but 1:00 game against the Cavs.
Right, this is the Celtics, right? Not the Hornets?
This is the Celtics.
Okay,
But
yeah.
we'll look at Charlotte, too.
Okay, 1:00 game against the Cavs. Oof. Is it in
This
Cleveland?
is a big... Before I say this, by the way, this is a huge week for the Celtics. This is going to show a lot of what Tatum looks like and what this team looks like with Tatum.
Yeah.
And when I read the schedule, you'll understand why.
Yeah. This is a tough game. Like, getting Tatum adjusted was a lot easier to do against the Mavericks than it is going to be against the Cavs, for sure, especially because somebody has to guard James Harden. I don't know. I kind of like, where is it? Is it in Boston?
It's in Cleveland.
In Cleveland? I kind
The
of...
first is the first game of a 3 road stretch.
Oh, okay.
And then we're back on Saturday against the Wizards.
I'm going to lean Cleveland here. I hate to say it, but I think while Tatum's still getting adjusted, if this game was 2 weeks from now, I think you'd have a better shot.
Okay. Tuesday against the Spurs.
Away?
Yeah, it's all away.
Wow, I hate to be the guy that comes on the Celtics podcast that just picks against them, but you're not going to win that game. You have a better chance of beating the Cavs than you do the Spurs.
Thursday against the Thunder. How tough of a week is that?
It just gets
for him
worse
to
and
come
worse.
back?
It gets worse and worse. There's a possibility you guys go 0-3 this week, but I'm going to give you one. I say you guys can beat the Thunder. The Thunder have shown weakness here. They've shown weakness. We beat the Thunder in Oklahoma by 40. You guys can do it.
All right. Well, and then Saturday we're back home against the Wizards.
That's a win.
That's a win. We could sleepwalk to a win there.
Right.
I don't know. Trae might do something. That's a tough week for him to come back. I wasn't looking. I was worried about Dallas, not thinking about the rest of the schedule. That is a tough week.
Yeah.
Usually I'm more confident. I don't know. I'll be happy if we go 2-2, including the Wizards. Like if we get one win against Cleveland, Spurs, or Thunder, I'm good with that.
I think you guys will win one of them. You guys are a good enough team. I mean, you're gonna win. You're gonna win one of them. I don't know who it's gonna be, but you'll go 1-2 in that 3-game stretch, I think.
All righty then. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch. Let's see what Tatum can get back into this early on, this quickly. That's gonna be. Well, let's talk about the Charlotte schedule. I'll do you that much. Let's do the same thing. All right, Charlotte Hornets. Yeah.
I want to know what you think about these games too. I want you to give me a prediction.
Tomorrow, you are on the West Coast this week, huh? So Suns. You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
I think that's a win. I talked about, we played the Suns a week ago, and they're a good team, but I think the way you guys are playing, that's a team you get a win on.
I agree this is a win. I think Dylan Brooks being healthy would shift it a little bit, but right now they're running their offense through Colin Gillespie and what's that kid's name? Grayson Allen?
Yep.
Which is fun to watch. I can't lie. The Suns are actually a really fun team, but I don't think they have the firepower to beat the Hornets, the number 1 offense in the league.
Trailblazers on Tuesday. That's a win for the Hornets.
I think so. The Blazers are fighting for a play-in spot too, so they'll come out playing hard. Klingen's a great player, dude. Klingen's going to be a superstar in 2 years. I think he'll be an all-star maybe next year. One of the best upcoming centers in the league. But again, I don't think they have the firepower.
Right?
Yeah, UConn guy. Yeah. Even without the UConn guy, I think he's great. I don't think they have the firepower at guard to beat us, though.
Kings on Wednesday.
Wow, well, this is the total opposite.
Easier West Coast trip.
This is the total opposite of you guys. We've got a cakewalk here.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, that's a win. And then Spurs on Saturday.
We'll lose that game. Is it away?
I think you'll lose that game. I think you coming off of three, it's the end of the West Coast trip for you guys, which is hard enough. But, yeah, I don't think you walk away 4-0. It'd be nice to see, but
I don't think we'd beat the Spurs if we were playing them at home, like at the start of that trip.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but good week ahead for you. That's it. You know, those are some outside of Sacramento, Suns, Blazers, good teams to watch.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be it for us.
All right.
Did you have fun?
I had a great time. I'd love to come back. I just want to let you
Yeah.
know. After that
listen,
plan, you better hope you don't draw the Hornets. That's not the matchup you
let's
want.
hope that's it. Maybe that's what we'll have to get you on for, the playing conversation where
for
we
sure.
end up. Definitely going to have a lot more of you guys grouping up. You know, I had 3 on before. That was fun. Just me and you this time, but I think we'll have another roundtable soon enough. But like I said, thanks for coming on. Thank you guys for watching. That's the 17th episode of the Green Line Breakdown. Jayson Tatum is back. The Celtics are poised for another championship run. Go Celtics.
Go Celtics. Go Hornets. Let's go.
Go Hornets.